Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism in the 15th and 16th centuries, traveled far and wide to spread his message of oneness and humanity. In his spiritual journey, he visited hundreds of sites related to Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, and Jainism. These sites are now spread over across 9 nations as per current geographical divisions, including India, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Tibet, Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia, Sri Lanka, and Afghanistan. This journey of Guru Nanak has been sequentially chronicled in a video documentary series by researcher and author Amardeep Singh. Thank you, Mr. Amardeep Singh, for joining from Singapore.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
You have retraced the footsteps of Guru Nanak across 9 countries and over 150 multi-faith sites. What was the main philosophy that inspired you to take on to the same journey after over 500 years?
Well, the philosophy is Guru Nanak's philosophy itself, where he summarizes whatever he's written in the scripture, which today has taken the form of the Sikh scripture. But he was a person on a quest. Guru Nanak says in his own words, with which we start the series also. This is a 24-episode series, and in that we have got one of the Pakistani singers, Salima Khwaja, to sing Guru Nanak's verse, and it says, Nanak jab lag duniya rahi hai Nanak, kich suniye kich kahiye. So as long as we are there in this world, we share and we absorb, right? So it's a two-way process, and Guru Nanak has beautifully summarized his entire philosophy of monism, which is that the entire creation is one. The creation and the creator is one. He summarized by writing the numeral 1 before his starting his any verse that he has written, which has gone into the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scripture. And his first numeral comes before Ik Onkar. In the Indic tradition, Onkar basically represents the 3 manifestations of the divine, which is creation, sustenance, and destruction. But he's writing before that 1. And a numeral 1 cannot take a form of 2 or 3. 1 is 1. And what he's trying to say is that the entire creation, whether it be humanity, whether it be the creation, or whether it be any aspect of the existence, is basically one. We are all one ecosystem. And that kind of motivates us to say in this docu-series that we have tried to follow his path 550 years after his life, is that we are living in a world which continues to be fragmented. I mean, when Guru Nanak was walking on this world 550 years back, and when we read his history, there were divisions that time, and they were trying to bring people together. And when we look at the world today, it continues to be fragmented, continues to be divided. Have we really moved towards that unity, what the prophets or what the seers and spiritualists actually aspired for? Unfortunately, we have not moved much towards that. We talk a lot, and that's what has inspired us. How can we, on the footsteps of Guru Nanak, visit those multi-faith sites, and from those multi-faith sites, absorb something, what exists today, and what may have existed as a narrative in the past, and through the documented traditions, intertwine it all together. And that becomes the tapestry of Guru Nanak's travels.
Okay, so talking about the holy sites of Sikhs in Pakistan, most of the people have knowledge mainly about the Panja Sahib and Gurdwara Kartarpur. But through your incredible work, it has been a kind of revelation that there is much more about the trail of Guru Nanak than we knew about. Could you please enlighten us that where are these hidden gems of Sikh religious sites located in Pakistan?
So I think you're using 2 words here, and I think I want to actually approach them in that manner. One is you said Sikh religious sites, and the second you used Guru Nanak's narrative related sites. And I think we need to start at a macro level first about the Sikh heritage, right? Unfortunately, because of the events of 1947, which led to the impact of communities on both sides of the borders, whether it be Muslims, Hindu, Sikhs, all communities got impacted. Muslims equally left their sites. Ajmer Sharif was left in India. For the Sikhs and Hindus, many sites were left here on this side of the Indus region. So the communities have all got equally impacted, right? But over the 7 decades, when I used to work for corporate, and I was in the American Express. I worked for 25 years across India, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And I've been in Singapore for 20 years, but I've been in Hong Kong for 2 years before that. All this time, the second being inside me had this deeper quest. My father was from Muzaffarabad in Pakistan. My mother was from Ahmedabad, and they after 1947 landed in UP in Uttar Pradesh, and they grew up. I was born in Gorakhpur in UP, and there was something that was disconnected there, because at home we were speaking a certain language which was not the language of that region. I looked different. My practices and my other aspects were different from where we came from, the Indus region, and this thing was always there in my mind. That when I read the chapters of my community's history, it was a very, very glorious chapter that churned in the lands of the Indus region. And then when I looked at the generation today, and this is something that happens with any exodus of communities that happens. It has happened probably with the generations of the Islamic followers in Pakistan, that they are their umbilical cord is severed from the sites in India, and they may not know much of the history about that. Similarly, it was the case with us, that the entire narrative, because the physical access had been limited, had gravitated down to just to 2 or 3 sites, and which was basically Nankana Sahib, Panja Sahib, Kartarpur Sahib, or 1 or 2 more Gurudwaras. And when I used to read the history, I said, you know what, our chapters churned right up till Afghanistan. It churned in Sindh, Balochistan, Muzaffarabad, and where are these footprints? So that took me first in my 2 bodies of my work, in which I spent 4 years across Pakistan. The first book was The Sikh Lost Heritage, the Sikh Legacy in Pakistan. The second one was The Quest Continues, Lost Heritage, the Sikh Legacy in Pakistan. Both these books allowed me to first myself personally travel across these 5 states of Pakistan, trying to understand both the tangible and the intangible, even the communities, their practices, their belief systems, because I firmly believe that a lot of our forefathers who moved from Pakistan onto the India side actually evolved, adapted. Because when communities move, they evolve and adapt into the new environment. But the ones who are the followers of Guru Nanak or the Sikh faith, who have stayed back, whether it be in Sindh is a very syncretic place where you find Allah, Krishna and Nanak coexisting together in syncretic places of worship, right? But when you go to those places, you suddenly start finding a view of what probably had existed as a community or as a culture before the partition took place. So when I actually went inside these places, both tangible, the monuments, and the intangible aspects, I was able to document across 126 cities and villages in these 2 books. They're large format books, about 6 kgs, 3 kg each book, and that took me 4 years to complete. And I did speak at a lot of literature festivals in Pakistan, Islamabad, Karachi, Lahore. That was a long time back, about now good 4 years back. But that then gave the foundation, because those remnants are not Guru Nanak's narratives alone. They are going through the entire history from Guru Nanak's time till partition and post, now when the communities are left there. I'm trying to understand an anthropological element of an entire community through historical texts as to what this narrative looks like today, 7 decades after partition. That was the aim of that body of the work. But that gave me an understanding, a deeper reflection, which then motivated me to understand deeper insights about Guru Nanak and his narrative within Pakistan, which I had read a lot. But Guru Nanak's narrative, we talk about it, and I'm not going to go outside Pakistan. If you want, we can go outside Pakistan, but specific to Pakistan right now, because the question was about that. The question that comes up is, in Pakistan, the Sikh community itself, and Guru Nanak's narrative is not about Gurdwaras. Gurdwaras were made as memorials by the community many years after Guru Nanak, many years after Guru Nanak. Now that's like a memory of Guru Nanak, which is reflecting in these monuments. But Guru Nanak's narrative is about when he was traveling 550 years back. As you said earlier, he traveled to many multi-faith sites. Now, when I look at Guru Nanak's narrative in Pakistan, it is there in Multan. Multan does not have any Gurdwaras there right now. It was there pre-1947, but the narrative of Guru Nanak was not inside the Gurdwaras. It was at Hazrat Shah Shamsuddin's site. It was at Uch. It was at the Hinglaj Mandir when he's going to Makkah, Medina. He's coming from Gujarat with Bhai Mardana, and he's going from he stops at Balochistan at the Hinglaj temples because that was one of the Jyotirling sites. And from there he travels. It was a very important Hindu shrine. And from there he travels to Makkah, Medina, goes to Baghdad, comes back into Pakistan from Afghanistan and enters through Para Chinar. And there is one narrative which says Guru Nanak's lifelong companion, Bhai Mardana, who was the musician, who was his Muslim friend, who traveled with him for 22 years. One of the narratives says that he passed away in the Kurram region. And the Kurram region today stands divided between Afghanistan and Pakistan, the Para Chinar area and the other side out there. When you start looking at this whole landscape, then it suddenly strikes you is that Guru Nanak's narrative has not been told from the perspective of what he was trying to give as a message. And to do that, then you have to go to all these sites. And that's what motivated us to say all the Sufi shrines, the Islamic shrines, the Hindu shrines, the Jain, Buddhist, and the biggest footprint in Guru Nanak's time, which was there, was the Nath Jogis, what we call as the Kanfatta Jogis. Kanfatta Jogis are, even if you look at the Heer and Ranjha, there is a Punjabi fable whereby, it's said about Ranjha when he does not get Heer, that Kanna Mundri Paiya, right? So he goes and gets his ears pierced. Now, what was this practice of piercing the ears? There was a tradition in which both Muslim and Hindu ascetics used to join that tradition, and this tradition was known as the Nath Jogis. Now, at that time, Guru Nanak's time, 550 years back, the Nath Jogis as a tradition were at the peak across Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and up till Nepal. It was a very seamlessly flowing region going into Sindh also, right? So when Guru Nanak is having his dialogues, and right up till Tibet, actually he's having a lot of dialogues with the Nath Jogis. And so today, if you try and retrace Guru Nanak's footsteps in Pakistan, it's not just the sites. When you look at the Tilla Jogia was a place where it is said, Ranjha went there and he joined the commune, right, of the ascetics. And Guru Nanak also goes there. At the Peshawar, at Gorakh Khatri temples, Guru Nanak's narrative is that he meets the ascetics, the Nath Jogis at the Peshawar, the Gorakh Khatri temple. So when you start adding up all this, it's not just the monuments as you see them today. There are traditions which have eloped, which have finished off, and you're trying to revive them through these sites and the remnants that you're seeing. That's very important, and that's what we're trying to do out here. And when you expand this beyond Pakistan and take it to the other countries, the project becomes that much more meaningful and that much more exciting, because now you're bringing in a diverse kaleidoscope of cultures and belief systems onto the footsteps of Guru Nanak. That's the objective. And from a Pakistan perspective, we are always obliged to the people of Pakistan who helped us at every city, every place that we have gone. We've got a son, or we've got a sister, or we've got a brother. They hosted us. They made our life that much more easy. So thank you to the people of Pakistan that they became a part of this journey. And then I want to thank our cinematographer, Salman Alam Khan, who traveled with us to 7 countries to do this, because he could not go to India and Bangladesh easily. So we had to then take a different team in India. But then that team also is equally like our sons. Salman is like our son in Pakistan, right? And we are always very thankful to Salman. Fahad, who was the supporting cameraman, we're always very grateful to him. We are also highly grateful to Salima Khwaja. I do want to take this platform to announce that Salima Khwaja, a lawyer by profession, she stays in Lahore, a lawyer by profession, passionate about music. What unfortunately happened in the 1947 was the severance of the cultural aspects which were intertwined. And one of the traditions, which was Bhai Mardana's tradition of the Rababis, who used to sing as the descendants of Bhai Mardana, who was the lifelong friend of Guru Nanak. And they used to do kirtan in the singing of hymns inside the various historical gurdwaras across both sides of the border that time when it was not divided. That community, unfortunately, I cannot understand why, but because of the faith, got dispersed, and all of them came into Pakistan. And over the years, because there was no patronage, because the people who were hearing that had moved on the other side, that art actually started deteriorating, and they were left out, they were forgotten. We have in the second episode, in the second half of it, gone in search. We've dedicated the second episode before we start the journey of Guru Nanak. We go into Pakistan in search for the descendants of Guru Nanak's lifelong companion, Bhai Mardana, and we find them, we record them. But in that process, we also meet Salima. And Salima is not from that lineage, but Salima has put in her effort to acquire the knowledge from Bhai Gulam Chand, who was from that lineage. He's no more. And she did not have that Bhai Mardana's DNA, but she has got something more than that. And she has learned the verses from Bhai Gulam Chand. We found her, we found the appeal in her voice, and she has become the representation of Amardeep, the host soul in this docu-series, by singing more than 150 verses of Guru Nanak for this docu-series, right? And what I want to actually announce out here is that what she has done in this process is that we actually were mandating that she has to sing only in the rags in which Guru Nanak has written. And because there are certain rags, because of partition, are not there in the Pakistan tradition, we had to depute a training over the internet, right, from our other resources. And she took about 8 months to absorb that entire knowledge base. And in this process of this docu-series, she's become the first Pakistani to have sung all the rags, approximately more than 35, approximately there are 37 rags of Guru Nanak's verses she has sung. So we want to thank Salima too. We want to thank Niazuddin, the Rabab player, the one man in Pakistan, Niazuddin. He's from Hunza region, Niazuddin Hunzai. We took him for this docu-series. That one man army has given us so much of music to fulfill this docu-series that one man has actually given us music for Iran, Iraq, Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab, Baltistan. It's like people would have to get multiple teams together to get music from each place. This one man army, you have talent sitting out there, right? And we thank Niazuddin for this, and Zohaib, who was the Sarangi player. All of them, we really thank them from the core of the heart. And in ending, I would like to thank the government of Pakistan, who way back in 2018, when I put this proposal across, a lot of people came together, saw the merit and the establishment. So we really thank the government of Pakistan, because if they wouldn't have done this, this narrative would have been a non-starter. Thereafter, we took our passion and went into the other countries, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Tibet, and we started solving for the problems. But thanks to the Pakistan government, who had faith and opened these gates for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very interesting facts that you have shared. But opening of Kartarpur corridor, don't you see it as a major step to facilitate the Sikh pilgrims and a step to promote religious harmony?
I think it's I've always maintained this. I think it's a very, very positive step in that direction, that whatever happened in 1947, it's not this present generation that decided that. Whether right or wrong, we are not trying to get into any political narratives. It's happened, it's over. You, I, or any political person cannot change that. We have to respect each other, right? But the fact is, I'm a Singaporean, I'm sitting outside, and I look at the geopolitical situation of the subcontinent. It pains me, because we are people of the same flock, and we have same habits, same languages, everything. And when I look at the divisive aspects that we keep hearing, where's the hope? Where's that ray of hope? It's something that I would always struggle with, because when I did the 2 books also, I have seen the warmth of the people. I could not have succeeded in doing the Lost Heritage books unless the people would have embraced me. So I always say that the people are the biggest asset, who have embraced us in our jobs of doing this mapping of the legacy remnants. That has allowed us to do our work. Otherwise, we are just a means of getting there. But in this whole process, one would think that there's so much of love and affection, but yet the political narrative is cracked down. Wherever something happens, it gets out of control. And where is the ray of hope? And to that, in that spirit, Kartarpur corridor actually is the best ray of hope that could be offered. I don't see it as a Sikh aspect. I see it as a ray of hope for the subcontinent, right? Because I personally believe in the mapping of Guru Nanak's narrative. I don't know how many people know about this. Baba Farid, when Guru Nanak went to Baba Farid's place, the 11th generation of the lineage, Baba Farid Sani Sahib actually was the spiritual head of the place, and Guru Nanak and he had actually dialogues on 2 occasions. And Baba Farid's entire writings are there in the Sikh scripture, much before in those days, the oral tradition used to take forward the writings and the sayings of these saints and spiritualists. But Baba Farid's writings were first documented in the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scripture, and we actually read it every day. But what I'm trying to say is that when Guru Nanak went there at Pak Patan, Farid Sani Sahib was also known by the other name as Sheikh Brahm. Right? Now, Sheikh Brahm, Farid Sani, passed away in a place which is just a few miles from Amritsar on the Indian border side, but it is right next to the no man's land. It is right at that place where you see the fence, and Sheikh Brahm's site is there. And this is in the Khemkaran village. And the Khemkaran village, we have had the opportunity to go there to film for Guru Nanak's narrative, because Sheikh Brahm and Guru Nanak are hand in hand. Twice they've met, right? And he passed away in that place. And when I've gone there, it has pained me actually to see that when I see the Pakistanis, a few of them come right up to the border, and they are passing down their offerings to the Sheikh Brahm on his shrine across, and as per the protocols established by the two nations, these offerings are passed down to the caretakers of the shrine, who are basically the Hindus and the Sikhs of that village, because there are no Muslims there, right? And when you look at that, then you say, you know what? Why can't this be the offering of from this side of the border to the other side, just like Kartarpur has been offered? When you start looking at these things, you could open multiple arteries across the Ratcliffe line. That's the vision that I think I have. At some point on both the sides, people will start really stepping back and saying, how many more such arteries can be opened up? Because it's through culture, it's through the faith that we can build back our trust. And that's what I hope this seeding will result in.
Mm-hmm. Right. So on the 552nd birth anniversary of Guru Nanak, and in today's world of people having conflicts and social and racial inequalities, how do you relive the message of Guru Nanak?
I think it's important to understand that Guru Nanak, he was basically an embodiment of oneness. He never had any negative or contrary view of any thoughts or any religion. He was all embracing. If he did have any negative aspects about any other thoughts or any other belief systems, he would not be spending 22 years going into their sites, spending time. If you see our artworks at Baba Farid's place, he's giving a hug to Sheikh Brahm. Why would he be doing these things, right? Why would he be going to Jagannath temple? Why would he be going to Makkah, Medina? Why would he be going to in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka? He was an embodiment of love, right? And I think that is basically the essence of the love that we need to actually sow in through the docu-series that we're trying to actually project, this 24-episode docu-series, which has taken us 3.5 years to make. It has been very, very complicated. And especially we are no BBCs, no National Geographics. And when we were trying to do it, we were just doing it out of a passion. A lot of energies came together to help us in this. But as we have done it, and as we are making it offered to the world, I'm hoping when the world starts seeing these 24 episodes, they'll understand the nitty-gritties and the essence of what we're trying to communicate out of those multi-faith dialogues that are happening at every place. I mean, when you look at, from a Pakistan point of view, I'll give you one example. When we are going to Shergarh, Guru Nanak has actually, this is in Punjab, the Shergarh there, in your West Punjab, and the caretakers there are recalling of the narrative which is from the Sikh tradition of Guru Nanak's visit to Shergarh. Right, we're talking about that, and we are sitting together and we are having that dialogue about it. It's about love and affection. When we are in Multan, one of the caretakers, one of the Maktoum's family people out there in Multan, is recalling the narrative which is there in our Sikh tradition, is that when Guru Nanak came to this city of Multan, it was a place which was brimming with the Sufi spiritualists there, and Guru Nanak was offered one bowl of milk as a symbolic gesture that this bowl is filled with milk, and one more drop and the milk will spill. That means the city is filled with spiritualists, and maybe there's no place for the others to be accommodated. What Guru Nanak does is just keeps two petals of jasmine flower, which starts floating on it and also gives its aroma. So I think we all can coexist. We need to coexist. World is all united, right? So I think that's the whole objective that we want to leave from this series, as you start listening to his verses, his messages, it's all about oneness. And this cuts beyond. I think our objective in doing this docu-series is, if anyone thinks this is being done for the Sikh faith, we as the creators of the docu-series are openly saying so. This is for humanity.
Right. So before we conclude, would you like to share in Punjabi a few verses from the message of Guru Nanak?
Well, Guru Nanak's one saying is, when he was in Sultanpur Lodhi, which is now in India, in East Punjab, and the traditional narratives say that he went into the river and 3 days later he emerged. What happened in that time, no one knows. But when he emerged, the writers who have written his narrative have always said this in our tradition, but it's not Guru Nanak who has said this. I want to be very careful. It's the writers after him who have written the narratives, right? So these are people who have written his stories much afterwards, have written, he proclaimed, na ko Hindu, na Musalman. What he was trying to say is, don't be divided by faith. We are all humans first, right? That's the message. But that's not what Guru Nanak said. And Guru Nanak, what he said, if I was to take his words, because you asked me about Guru Nanak's words, his essence does come out in that fact, na ko Hindu, na Musalman. He's respecting both. Don't be divided by your faiths. Understand you are humans first, is what he was trying to give as a message. But what is it that he said actually? There's a verse of his that beautifully we have depicted in this second episode of our docu-series in Sultanpur Lodhi by just showing one tree, and a lush green filled, it's a banyan tree, and through that we've shown it what basically Guru Nanak sings and says, Eko taram diride sach koe. Eko, ek is one, taram is your faith, is your belief, is your righteousness. Righteousness basically is dharam, right? It's not religion, it's righteousness, right? Eko taram, there's only one righteousness. Dride sach koi, and he says dride is to make it very, very with full conviction, to say that this is it. He's saying dride sach koi. He says such truth. Truth is the only righteousness that is relevant in our existence in this world. And what is the truth? Truth is that we are all one.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Amardeep Singh, for a very insightful talk on the subject.
Thank you very much.